G'day everyone, Rob Booth here again from Piglet Music, here with a Jazz Lick of the Week special this time. I wanted to do one now that we've reached week number 5, just so I could say g'day and thank you to all of those who have been tuning in regularly to the page, and I hope you keep on enjoying it, and I'll keep doing more in the future. If you're a new viewer, welcome, and I hope you enjoy it as well. Now today, this clip will accompany Jazz Lick of the Week number 5. I'll put a link hopefully down in the comment section or somewhere for you to find it, but a lot of you know where to go anyway. Jazz Lick of the Week number 5, and we'll be looking at Sweet Georgia Brown this week. Now in this clip I'll just do a little bit of talking, I'll play a few examples, and then in the back end we'll do a bit of extra work for the beginning players, so you can have your horns out ready, and we'll do some playing there as well, and all that material will transfer across to the Lick of the Week page as well. Now what I really want to stress while I've got you here today is the importance on just having focus and direction with your practice. Jazz playing does take a lot of discipline. With technical playing, I know that I can get out my Arbon tutor, I can get out some etude books and some long tone studies, and I know that my technique is in pretty good shape then. With jazz it's not so simple. As I've said before, there's a lot of methods people recommend, whether it's playing melodies and jazzing them up, whether it's playing jazz etudes, whether it's playing scale studies. For me, I just really believe, first of all, make sure you know your triads. I don't think you can really successfully solo if you don't know how your triads over a chord. Try it over the Sweet Georgia Brown changes. See if you can actually play a solo using nothing but the four notes of the chord, or the 3 notes. It's actually quite a challenge no matter which level you're at. Once you know your chords, know where to find those key notes, in particular the 3rd and the 7th. So it doesn't matter what chord comes up, bam, you know you can go straight away to the 3rd of the chord, and you might have a couple of lines there. For instance, if I've got a little lick starting on the 3rd of a chord and I'll play it in G like this, that's fine in G. But if I get a D flat chord, I'm not very fond of D flat, but I do know where to find the 3rd straight away, and hopefully the rest will follow. And if I might get an A flat chord, and I know where the 3rd is, it's C. So once you just have that intimacy with the chords, hopefully the lines that you've practiced will then follow. Same with the dominant chord. If I play a line there, here's a C7, I'll play the chord so that you can hear where the harmony is. But there's the dominant. And if I do the same, say on an E chord, and I says no, without thinking about it, I can find the 7th of the chord. So that's what my beginning book's all about, just being able to find those essential notes within a chord, and then as you move onwards, the rest will just follow from there. Now the other thing I want to bring up, I see around the web a lot of talk on some other methods of improvising, and a couple of those are the diminished patterns and the pentatonic licks. Now, while they are very effective approaches to jazz playing, I just want to warn you they are very advanced ones, and if you're starting out, really just get locked into your basics, whether it be beginning or even a bit above beginning. Make sure you can do some nice clean lines, whether it's bebop or even Dixieland, before you move on to the advanced ones. What they do is give you a bit more depth in your soloing, and then when you're starting to play tunes and wanting to get a little bit more out there kind of sounds, that's when those patterns start being effective. But I just really want to encourage you, just make sure you leave those ones alone for a while. I'll actually work on those a little bit down the track in a couple of sessions here, looking at diminished patterns and pentatonics. But for the moment, just stick to getting some nice clean soloing down. What I'm going to do for the moment, just so that you can actually hear a few of those in context, I'm going to play a couple of choruses of Sweet Georgia Brown. Sweet Georgia Brown is a 32 bar pattern and has a lot of dominant chords in it, which is why I've picked it for this week. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a solo, the first 16 bars. I'm going to use nothing but lines from my beginner's book, so really nothing but using the 3rd of the chord and the dominant 7th, a couple of those little patterns. And then in the second half I'm going to use some little bebop lines, and they're more the kind of things we've been using in Jazz Lick of the Week and in my second book. And then in the second chorus, in the first half, I'll use some diminished scale patterns so you can hear what they sound like. And the second half, I'll use a few pentatonic licks. So just so you can hear what those are when you hear them being talked about, and you can hear what effect they have over the same tune if you're doing them. So I'll play that for you now. I'll put it up on the screen so that I can put some description up there as well. So here's Sweet Georgia Brown showing 4 different approaches to soloing. All right, so I hope that gives you a little bit of perspective on the different approaches you're using with your practicing, the kind of licks you want to use, and how you can use them in the same tune. So that's all I'm going to do today for the medium level players. If you want to go back to the Jazz Lick of the Week page now, you can find some lines there and do some playing. For the beginning students, get your horns out, and we'll do a little bit more playing now over some more basic lines with Sweet Georgia Brown. And please, if you're turning off now, if you wouldn't mind, I really appreciate it. If you like this clip, please like it, and it'd be great if you could subscribe to it. It's easy for a clip like this to get buried beneath 100 guitar clips. So if you like this one, if you could please just give it a like and a subscribe. And I'd love to hear some comments, just who you are, what you're doing, where you're from, what you're doing with your jazz playing. If you could, anything that could go in the comments below, really appreciate hearing from you. But for now, beginning players, get your horns out and we'll do some playing. Right, so what we're going to do here is look at a few licks based around the third of the chord and also the dominant seventh, and I'll put them in the chords that are used in Sweet Georgia Brown so that you can actually transfer them across to this week's Jazz Lick of the Week and give them a go over Sweet Georgia Brown there. Now in Sweet Georgia Brown, each of these chords generally lasts for 4 bars, and the licks I'm giving you today are only 2 bars. So obviously you can either play them twice or play them once and then give yourself 2 bars rest to get ready for the next chord change. So this first lick just starts on the third of the chord, makes its way up chromatically up to the 5th, and then chromatically back to the 3rd again. And depending on the setting, this one is a real good little one in Dixieland, and if a lick like this. Or you can smooth it out a little bit more to be used in more of a mainstream or bluesy sort of setting, something a bit like this. So I'll play it for you once so you can hear how it goes, and then I'll give you a chance to play it back. So here's lick number 1. And now you have a go. So either play the line once and then give yourself 2 bars rest, or just play it twice in a row, filling the 4 bars. And lick number 2 is almost the same as lick number 1. I've just put in that little inflection of the flat third in there, which I like to use, and it's just enough just to make that a little bit more jazzy. Now this next lick, number 3, does nothing more than going straight up from the tonic note, straight up the scale up to the flat 7th. Then you can embellish it slightly, as I've shown in the second example, by from the starting note go down a semitone, back up to the starting note, and then back up the scale again. Now once you're comfortable with that, you could then just come back down the scale again, and if you use that little inflection of the flat third to the third, you could come up with something like this. So here it is again. I'll play it for you as on lick number 3 on the page. So I'll play the basic line and then I'll play the slight variation as well, so you can hear how those ones sound. I'll notice too in this one, when you get to the 4th chord, which is the concert A flat, because that is a tonic chord, it's not actually a dominant sounding chord. So you don't want to be using the dominant lick over that one. Maybe just use the line like you used in the previous licks. And here's your turn. And finally, lick number 4 is something to use over the concert F minor to C7 section in the piece. It's a 2-bar pattern. So I've given you a basic one, and then I've done a slight embellishment there again. Now, basically this one just goes up the first 5 notes of a minor scale, and don't underestimate that one. It seems very simple, but it's really quite an effective line. So I'd practice that on all your minor scales, just going straight up and down the first 5 notes. So here's how I use the couple of those patterns on that little section from Sweet Georgia Brown. Just please excuse the backing track on this one. I didn't do as good a job and it's not quite as smooth as I'd like, but hopefully it serves the purpose. And your turn. So there's a couple of lines to get you covered in Sweet Georgia Brown and for you to be able to construct a solo with. Now, get them under your belt here and then try them across on Jazz Lick of the Week. There's a couple of backing tracks of different tempos, but both of them are quite a bit quicker than this one. So get comfortable with them here and then try them out over Sweet Georgia Brown on Jazz Lick of the Week number 5. And there's actually another couple of licks on Jazz Lick of the Week number 5 as well, so plenty to keep you going. Well, thanks for tuning in again. And again, as always, hope you got some enjoyment out of that. And please, I'd encourage people, if you're starting out, to grab the beginner's book. And even if you're a bit more advanced, the my beginner's book at the back of it in the supplement section has a lot of chord changes with backing tracks, using a lot of, it's basically all about dominant seventh chords. So any of these lines with the dominant or 2/5 lines, you can actually use over those. So for the sake of $11, I'd really encourage you to grab one of those, and you can use the supplement section just to practice any of these tunes. And it will also be helping just fund this little project of mine as well. So until next time, see you later.